It's Judy on the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show. I am Dr. Judy, your Real Talk host, and I want to thank you for being with me today, Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021, right here on Hallelujah 95.3 FM. We're also on Facebook Live, Instagram, YouTube at Real Talk with Judy Live Radio. So I want you to take a few seconds on Facebook, if you would, and go and on Instagram and YouTube, give me some hearts, but go ahead and share. This show is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and we don't want anybody to miss it. And if you're on the radio or at your desk or wherever you are, go ahead and contact your family and friends, call them, text them, email them, and let them know that the Real Talk with Judy show is on right now with Dr. Judy and her guests. I'm inviting all of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube channel to subscribe today at Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show. That's Real Talk with Judy Live Radio Show. I want to say hello to my mother, Dr. Irma Hunter Wesley, the reason I am here, who I am, and to my amazing and awesome husband, Superintendent Dr. Jeremy Mandrell, Senior Pastor of Life Changes, and he is the reason I get to do what I do. To my amazing team who helps me deliver an award-winning show, want to say thank you so very much for being here. And to you, the great audience who's coming on, I want to thank you, Amber and Angus, and those of you who are coming on now, I want to say thank you so very much for being a part of the Real Talk with Judy show. And again, thank you for tuning in. The business investment, I want to thank you all for all that you do to help me continue to be on this show and to provide such a great opportunity to so many people. Life Changers, Superintendent Jeremy Mandrell, Dream Builders Greatness Center, Carolyn Waddell, Fine Size, Waist Trainer, Shapewear, and Thigh Trainer, Tanya Powell. We have K&D Creative Designs and Marketing Solution, Priscilla John Lewis, Tawanda Davis Photography, Pastor T. We have A1 Top Notch Security, Antonio and Felicia Hall, the law offices of Craig J. Brown, Tallahassee Accident and Rehab, Dr. Chuck Ways, Gazer Road Ministry, Attorney Judith Harkin, Tracetta Alexander Enterprises, Covenant Building Corporation, Harold Lyons, New Image Christian Center, Pastor David and Dr. Margaret Eggerson, the Greenery Flora in Tuxedo Place, Quincy, Florida, Commissioner Ron Green, Celeste Morningside out of Scotland. Want to say thank you. So I want to say to all of those who have invested, thank you. Those who are partnering with me, thank you so very much. It is because of you. The wheel of the Real Talk with Judy show is moving in Tallahassee, across this nation and the world. I want you to keep watching. I want you to stay tuned in as some great adventures are coming your way through the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. If it be the will of the Lord, we're going to be on the move. I personally invite those of you who have not subscribed who have not become an investor. If you will, go to my webpage, www.realtalkwithjudy.com for more information and find out. Last month's show was simply amazing and very empowering with my sister, Celeste Morningstar from Scotland. It was absolutely a phenomenal time. This month, February, we are dealing with the series, The Power of the Black Family. My co-host is a very amazing absolutely phenomenal woman. She has helped me to become so much better in my business. She's there and giving suggestion and just absolutely phenomenal. She is the director of membership and engagement at United Partners of Human Service and Corporation. She has an extensive experience in nonprofit management, community engagement, leadership, and program development. And if you don't believe me, just let her become a part of your life and you will excel to heights unknown. She was a foster home supervisor at the age of 22. She worked at Pace Center for Girls for 15 years. She helped expand that program from serving 45 girls to 70. In 2016, she was awarded the Department of Juvenile Justice DJJ Leadership Award. She received the Unsung Shero Award from the Oasis Center for Women and Girls. 2018, JJ awarded her the Outstanding Service to Youth and Families Award. 2018, Pace presented her with the statewide Creating Partnership Award. 2020, she received the Golden Ace Award, was one of the TCC Women of History honorees, one of Tallahassee 25 Women you should know. She is a member of Leadership Tallahassee 34. She serves on several board of directors. Um, She's phenomenal. And she's the awesome chair of the Tallahassee Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. She is married and has one son. In her free time, I don't know where that is, but in her free time, she enjoys thrift store shopping and reading. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my February co-host, my friend and sister girl, LaShawn Gordon.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me so much, Pastor Jay. Pastor Judy is one of those people that I actually get a chance to be around quite a bit. And she is a true sister in service. And if you know anything about me, I don't like to talk about myself and I struggle at receiving compliments. So thank you, Pastor Judy. It is a blessing to join you this morning.
Son, I'm so glad, and she ain't kidding, y'all. She don't like to talk about herself, and she don't like to receive compliment, but she's gonna get all of that. She's a phenomenal woman. Our special guest for today, LaShawn, is a serial entrepreneur. She's a serial entrepreneur, and her driving purpose is faith, family, and future. Um, She's completed 20 years of successful career working with public and private organizations with a background in organizational structure management, developing and creating strategies to streamline process optimization. At the age of 40, she became a board certified st- st- uh, esthetician. Yeah, esthetician. I got it, an esthetician. She became that, a licensed health and wellness therapist, certified life and lifestyle coach, and most recently, business and education development consultant, Blautism uh, in Incorporation, and Blautism Education and Consultant, a nonprofit for profit organization, was born. Her husband, Kai Fernando Davis Sr., along with their three sons, have supported and watched her speak before Capitol Hill, college campuses, and classroom, all the while remaining the heart of a servant. She is one of the most smartest, most intellectual, organizational, putting things together women I have met. And LaShawn, thank you for introducing us. I want to bring to our front the one and only, our special guest, Mrs. Anita Whitby Davis.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for having me today. I'm a little nervous, I will admit, but I am actually very humbled to be here with you ladies today, two ladies that I admire greatly. So thank you all for having me, especially talking about two of my favorite subjects, the Black family, and how to address any challenges that we may face in our society. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all for having me so much.
Thank you, ladies, so very much. And I want to say to the audience, everybody who's coming in, we got we've mentioned Amber, we got Robin and Tanya, Carolyn, Casey, no, Kate Lacey, Angela, Amber, All Smiles, Celeste from Scotland, Monique. We got so many people on here. Angus. I want to say to everyone, thank you all for taking out time for this powerful show. Before we get in, y'all know that I have a prize to give away, and I'm gonna give away this prize, and then we're gonna get into this show. The first person to call the radio station, the first person to call the radio station, 850-671-1450, and tell Dot D what was the second show Celeste and I discussed in January. What was the topic of the second show? 850-671-1450. We have a 1 hour massage. And even if you don't live here in Tallahassee, I will pay the Real Talk with Judy show, will pay for you to get an hour massage in the city in which you live. Ladies, let's go. As LaShawn would say, what you say, LaShawn?
Let go.
Let go. Let go.
Let
So
go.
today our focus is on Black families beating the odds. Black families beating the odds. So, ladies, when you hear that, Black families beating the odds, LaShawn, as the co-host, what is it that come to your mind when you hear that?
So for me, beating the odds always makes me think about beating those generational curses, right? So, as Black people, we've had to overcome a lot down through the years. And so, beating the odds is the community, the village, everybody working together, right? To cast down, out, rebuke those things that come against us. And I think that's something that we continue to do daily. I mean, you mentioned earlier the Black family being one of the strongest units around. And I think that's still true in so many ways. I'm one of those kids where the community had a big hand in raising me. And so in a lot of ways, that's how we beat the odds. We reach back, right? We help to take kids out of their circumstances and their situations. And then when you think about the Black family, that is also doing everything you have to do to make sure that your family make it. So for me, I get fired up because I stand on the shoulders of so many men and women who did everything they had to do to make sure that my little Black stuff can do what it is that I do today. So, I can go on about that, but for me, that's what beating the odds really is about.
Okay, Anita?
Oh my gosh. How do you follow that? You are absolutely right, LaShawn, in so many factors. I think of the diverse obstacles that we come against, whether it be educational, economics, and we do stand on the shoulders of giants. I come from an extremely extended family on both sides. We still have 6 generations living, right? So they were my reality. And so when we talk about families beating those odds, I know when my great-grandfather was a sharecropper. I had him in my life until I was 23 years old. So his stories I didn't have to read in books. My great-grandmother, likewise. So they were my history alive, right? So I don't have excuses when I know what they have fought to overcome. And so when we think that times get a little bit tough, we can remember and really look at it and say, okay, now if they were able to do this so that I can sit here today, I really don't have any complaints. I just need to figure out how I can continue that same for the next generations that come behind us.
Anita, I want to ask you about something that you just said. It just made me think about this. Do we ever get to the place where we really feel like we beat the odds, right? How do you know you've beat the odds? Those are those deep reflective questions that you have to ask yourself. Because what I heard you say is like, for me, can't many people tell me anything, but if my grandma say it, that's the law, right?
Oh,
Because you don't want to disappoint, you don't want to let down. So when you kind of talked about having your great grandfather in your life, how do you know you beat the odds? What does that look like for you?
Well, when I look at it and I think about at the time, he came out as a sharecropper, right? And then they had their 18 children. And then my grandfather and my grandmother married, and he had to spend 30 years on the road to provide them the life that he didn't have, because he only had a second grade education. Then he sent 3 daughters on to school, right? And there's this idea that you finally made it. But for me, and it has a lot to do with my faith. For me and my husband, it's like our faith tells us what we're doing now is for our generations to come. So I can't take for granted that I made it anywhere. I just simply must be reflective on where they've come from, right? So I'm here now, and it's a wonderful spot. But what do I see for my generations after me, right? What do I have to give to them, the tools? Because I don't see necessarily an end to a lot of the things that we have to deal with. You all have to excuse me. I'm at the school.
it's okay.
And the same conversation that my great-grandfather had to have with my grandfather is the same kind of conversation my husband now has to have with our sons. Okay, I need you to make it home safe. That's a reality, right? So it's not I made it, but where do we take it from here? I've got to do my part to go to the next level, take our children to that next step when we're looking at all the obstacles that are faced with Black families.
Yeah, and LaShawn and Anita, that's real good. And one of the things I see with us, the 3 Black women right here now, sitting on a radio station that's
Absolutely.
reaching thousands, Black, white, everywhere. We're right now in Scotland. We're in Jamaica. We're in the Bahamas right now because we have people over there listening. And because that was one of the us being broadcasters, us being able to host our own show,
Correct.
us being able, look where you are. You're sitting in the school. You're not cleaning the school. Not that there. And do hear me now. There's no reflection on the custodians because we didn't have them. We have nasty everything, right?
Right.
Everything would be nasty. But you're sitting now in a place, Anita, that you are like the head. You are running things. You're making things happen. Same thing with you, LaShawn. Look where you're sitting. You're in an office, a nice office too, with a nice chair. Got a nice chair too, and you got several computers and stuff up. But there was a time we couldn't do these things. That we could not. But as families don't. We're not just riding the bus as a family. We got cars.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I think about beating the odds, I looked up the word beating and I kept this dictionary, this definition. It's an act of striking with repeated blows so as to injure or damage or destroy. And then odds say in the statement of beating the odds, it suggests stigma and lack of opportunity. So for me, beating the odds, we're we're beating and punching and injuring everything that stands against us. Lack of this and lack of education, lack of opportunity and fear and all of that. And so when I hear LaShawn, I look around and I know we haven't made it all. And Anita, I would have to agree. My faith, and I think all 3 of us, our faith is the driven force that tell us that we can do it. But you said something, Anita, history alive. That's what we are. We too are a live history that these young folks and other family, we got stories of our families making it. And so this is what's we're beating the odds. We're knocking it down. We're kicking it down. LaShawn is always on go.
Yes.
And if you ever get stuck, call her. She will get you unstuck. Okay?
Oh
She
yeah.
will. Yeah.
Yes, you will.
Oh yeah. It's something you said, Pastor Jay. When I think about beating the odds, I think about the word resilience, right?
Yes.
And that's one of those things that all the years that I've always worked in social service and human service, I think about resiliency, right? Because people do what they have to do every day to beat the odds.
Yes,
And
it-
sometimes people say, oh my God, I don't know how they're still going through, how they still standing. And that is being resilient. And I think the Black family is very resilient, right?
yeah.
That's taking 1 pound of ground beef with 2 boxes of hamburger helper and feeding the family for a couple days. Add 2 cans of corn to that, and everybody gonna eat, right? That's boiling that chicken and putting some rice in there. Those are things that we can laugh about now, right? But that is resilience, and that's how people got over.
It
That's
is.
how they made it.
It is. That's that
Wow.
strength. That's that
Yes.
strength that and that's what we have to pass on to our children. Like, there are a lot of things that we want to say we made it or overcome, but it's that grit that allowed us to make it to this point that we have to pass on to our kids. I tell my husband all the time, based on his work ethic, which he has a work ethic that bar none, but pass that on to our boys, right? Show them what it takes to get up early in the morning and push hard. I don't want it so easy for them, because that's what's kept us here, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
We get comfortable and think that we don't have to make it. We can't make it anymore. Or
Mhm.
that Red G said, I often think that I have truly made progress while still striving to make it. Yeah, we haven't arrived.
Mm-mm.
We're so much better than we are. And I believe it's because of all these shoulders we're stood on.
Amen.
LaShawn just mentioned all that food. That's how we start. And I know some of y'all don't eat it, but that's how we start eating chitlins and the pig feeds and
It's
all
good
of that.
food.
Because I was told by my grandmother that they used to throw that away,
Mm-hmm.
and because the black people didn't have a whole lot, they learned how to make the best of
Exactly.
what the leftovers
Exactly.
that was given to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they learn how to survive. They
Yeah.
learn how to make it. That's
Yes.
the black family. We
That is.
talk about the strength of the black family. Let's talk about some strength that we as black families make. And you all both said that we got to now help our black families understand you're stronger than you think.
Correct. Correct. I remember my grandmother saying, one of her best friends, Miss Estelle, when my grandfather would go to the pulpwood, my grandparents had 3 daughters, but Miss Estelle had children, and she was a single mom, and she would often have to go out.
Miss
But
Nita,
she said
Miss Nita, hold on. You said go where?
to pulpwood. I'm
What's that?
talking. Pulpwood is when older black men, young black men would go out. You know how they cut down the pine trees, and you
Mhm,
see the trucks with the cut pine trees on the back of it.
mhm.
That's where he would go. He would, and I'm talking like everybody knows what I'm talking about from
No,
the
I'm
country.
glad because I'm not from the country, so I'm gonna need y'all country people to help me
Yes,
out.
ma'am.
That's all.
And so he would
Oh,
leave
okay,
before day morning and go out to the pulpwood,
okay.
and my grandmother would be home with their daughters. And this before he left to go work down South Florida. And she had a girlfriend who had children right across from them. And when my grandmother cooked, she cooked for her house and for her children and for her girlfriend's children who lived across from her. She said, because she worked so hard, I didn't want her to have to worry about her children, because we had to look out for each other. And those children were raised like sisters and brothers to my mom and her sisters, because that's what they did. If she made a pot of greens, she made enough with them in mind, not just enough for her household.
Wow.
So yes, ma'am.
LaShawn, you was about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this whole conversation and just doing what you have to do to survive. It also kind of just makes me think about Black people in the professional world as well, right?
Yes.
So I'm a huge supporter of supporting and just being loyal. And I know for me, a lot of times people always ask me the question, why do you support the way you do? Right. And some of that is learning how to support leaders. Right. And then a lot of that is it also flows into being loyal. Right. And it's also being able to glean stuff from other people. And I think that's a huge strength of the Black family as well, because, you learn what you need to learn till you get to the place where you can be a Dr. Judy and have your own radio show. But you have to be able to pause and learn. That's a part of the strength. And that's also a skill. And I think people miss that, right? They miss that. People worked, and they learned how to build houses. They learned how to be brick masons. And then what happened? They got their own. And so I think now sometimes as we're jumping to the doing, and yes, I want to be a boss, I want to be a leader, we forget that, we have to learn. We have to learn. And I laugh. I always say I'm like one of those old church mothers, because I'm always watching. I'm always watching. And I think that's also the art of the Black family, because somebody was always watching.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think we lose sight of that sometimes.
Wow. And yes, someone was always Miss Mary on the porch, Mr. Luke down the street. The man in the candy store he was your friend, but he'll sure go tell your mom and daddy that you skipped school. We beat the odds by being partners. The Black families, we beat and Lashawnda and Anita. One of the things that you all are good about is this partnership. This partnership, the UPSH, that's a partnership. Are we trying to get all these letters? The UPHS, it's a united partnership. Over 168 businesses have partnered with LaShawn and Amber. And it is not about just one person. All of us come together. That is the strength. That is how we beat the odds in our Black families. And till this day, y'all, because somebody always watching. Someone knew your children needed clothes. I don't know if they still do it in these days right here, but we had the hand-me-down system, right? And the families didn't get it. The families wasn't insulted. After our family did wore our clothes, and okay, let me pause. We didn't give them clothes with holes. Well, they wearing jeans now with holes in it, but back in the day, that wasn't popular. It's popular now, but it wasn't popular back in the day. So you gave them clothes that was good still to wear. Just wash, you wash them and gave them to them. And you have to. We partnered. We partnered. We trusted each other. Hello. We trusted each other. We could depend on each other being loyal, and all our families succeeded. So many families made it. I see we got some single parents on here. You know, um, Monique Duvall stated, as a single Black mother, I strive to show her children um, the favor of God that's on our lives as African Americans. Y'all talk about that, because that is very important. The Black family have beat the odds because of the favor of God on our life. What y'all say?
So I texted Pastor Judy the other night, and I said, favor ain't fair, but it sure feel good, right?
Hey.
So I'm a big believer of, what you sow, that's the harvest that you reap, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's your favor. It's Big Mama put some seeds in the ground. So, we're standing on that favor right now, right? Madia put some seeds in the ground. So we're reaping that favor. So I think, Black people have served, they've been resilient, they've been workers, they've been all that, right? And so that is the favor, because those seeds have been planted. And so now we're seeing a lot of the harvest. I've been saying for people all of 2020, 2020 might have been hard, but the Saints were all right. And that was because a lot of good seeds have been planted. And so it really just drives home the point of doing right by people, right?
Amen.
Because favor shines upon you when you do right by people, and you don't have to beat anybody down. You don't have to go looking for it. It just seems to find you. And so I really, really do believe that. There's a song that says, I had a praying grandmother, and I know there are a lot of people who are still standing on those prayers of their grandmamas, their big mamas, Deacon Willie James, their granddaddy who was at the church,
That's it.
community people, mentors, just people who, have prayed, who have affirmed over the years. So I think that's that favor. That's that favor that you cannot explain. You cannot explain it. You can just say it feels good. It tastes good.
Hey, amen about that. I absolutely concur with that, because in anything, I know for me, it's imperative that I give credit where credit is due. I'm not Anita because of anything that I have done. First, it comes from the favor of God who's ahead of my life. And then secondly, I talk about my grandmother. I talk about my mother. I talk about all of those that have poured and invested into my life. No one does it alone, especially in a Black family. I mean, when you talk about the community, and you talk about having a grandmother and a great grandmother on this corner, the great grandmother, all her sisters on the other corner, it was a community process. And if anyone thinks that they made it alone, I don't know how they do that, because where I come from, you don't. I was talking to my aunt last night when we shared that we would be on here today, and I was checking on everybody, because that's what we do. I call and I check on everybody, and we're doing the updates and everything. And we shared the post, and she texted me back. She said, "You didn't tell me you were going to be on the radio tomorrow. You know, you have to tell Auntie these things." But in the midst of me checking on what was important, everybody's health, Auntie, are you okay? I can't come see you. All of these things, it slipped my mind. Not that I wasn't excited to be here today, but it slipped my mind because I was thinking about, I'm just blessed that I still have family that I can check on, because there's some people that don't have nobody.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't have anybody that they can call. I am just blessed, and I say this all the time. You're right. I'm standing on some prayers of my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, all of those, because there's some things that they sowed into the atmosphere. They sowed into the universe that I'm reaping the benefits for. So then I've got to sow me some seeds too, because there's some generations that's following me that are counting on the things that I do. That's why I tell people, I ain't about doing nothing crooked and wrong. I'm not built that way. And the reason why is because I've got children, I got grandchildren, and there's some other ones coming on behind them. And I want them to reap some good stuff, not nothing crooked. So you got to be careful what you put out there.
And this is real talk. And that is so true. Aisha Freisler said, now we become
Correct.
the parents. Now we are the ones that bring harmony. So now we are the one that build the partnership. And I hope that we see this, because we're the one now that have to go to the families and help them beat the odds. We're the one. We have stood on shoulders. So now we're at step number 3, I guess, on the ladder, or step number 4, whatever. But it is us, and we have to be careful how we partner, so we can make sure we're not partnering wrong. If y'all get it,
I was gonna say I'm gonna go there with you, because I think what you're about to hit on was an important point, and I think that's meeting people where they are, right? A lot of times we don't catch people is because before they even get there, we've already detoured them from coming, right? And so I think that's a big part of it. We have to really meet people where they are. And a lot of that involves being in the community. A lot of that means talking to people. I'm a big proponent of building relationships, and I like where you were going, Pastor Jay, because I do think it's very easy when you get to a certain place to look down on a person or this or that or whatever the case may be, when really and truly we all raggedy sometimes. And so, I think we forget that. And so, we support, but we don't press people. we lift them up. And so I knew where you were going with that. I just had to add in that little tidbit.
That's good because that's what it's about, LaShawn. And we have to be so mindful of where we come from.
Amen.
We haven't always been where we are, and we still got we still got a long ways to go. Just
Long.
measuring against our own self, we still have ways to go, and so we have to be as family. Man, it was nothing for in my community. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, and so it was nothing for um us to be out playing and outside. We played outside, We
Mhm.
drank water from the water fountain, the water hose.
The water hose.
We drunk from there. But our whole street, we were a family.
Absolutely.
We were family. And
Absolutely.
as Black families, it doesn't matter where you think you have made it,
Come on.
we still have to help families,
Come
right? We have to make them. We have to help them. My sister Charlie Paratanya, she said, Pastor Jeremy and he said this all the time. I want it. Favor is fair because we're the children of God, and He gonna give us favor. And
Amen.
that's just certain. I'm Jeremy and Drell's wife, and people say I'm spoiled, but you know what he tell them? He tell them she's mine to spoil.
Come on.
She said, "That's my wife. I married her to spoil her." Shabbat, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
There's a lot of things happening. Priscilla, Dot D, and Danette and Carol, they have worked hard to get my picture to look like it looked right here. But every time they said I needed something, next thing I know, it was coming in Amazon. I don't know how to work any of this stuff. Right? I got more ring lights than a little bit. I got a little ittle bitty ring light. I got a ring light that you sit on the phone. I got a 6-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, and a 16-inch ring light. Why? Because he said he want to see me make it. He want to see things be successful.
All
That's
right.
what we give back to the families.
Yes.
That's how we go into the community.
That's
That's how we help. That's how we build, right?
right. Mm-hmm.
That's how we build. I'm part of the village, the Life Center. I'm in partnership with Kevin Warren at the Life Center. Why? Because it's gonna take the village to
Amen.
get our families. And guess what, y'all? I'm gonna say this. It's gonna take the Black village to help the Black village
Yes, it
make
is.
it.
Yes, it is.
I know
Um,
some people, I'm not isolating anybody, but
right.
we can relate.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
I
y'all
think,
talk about that. Y'all agree with me?
yeah.
It's
Oh, I
okay.
definitely
It's
agree with
okay.
you about that because my mama used to always say, Anita, you have to work on what we got going on first before we lived around the world. And the one thing that we saw that was very obvious is that when the culture that we lived in, if it was in the Philippines, Filipino people worked together. They may send one parent to the United States, the family may stay back here. We had families that they would send one to the Middle East and the other families would stay back on the island. But whatever they made, wherever they were, they sent back home to take care of. She said, and before integration happened in many of the Black communities, everything was in our community. So we kind of worked together. And then when integration happened, it divided a little bit. We integrated per se, but we lost a little of the substance that was going on because everything that's happening in the Black family is nothing new, but it just became a little different. Let's say that. But I'm a big proponent. I don't expect anybody to sweep my front door. I do it myself. So when I see little girls who look like me, I used to tell them, Miss Anita wears her hair like this because my hair look like yours. And whether it's my kindergarten babies or whether it's my 8th grade girls, I want you to know what you look like is beautiful. I'm going to always stand for you first because I have that responsibility.
Right.
I feel that wholeheartedly.
Yes.
For me. Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with what both of you all said. I'm a big proponent of setting a strong foundation, and I talk to a lot of grassroots leaders. It's one of the things I actually love, and I have a lot of conversation with people about getting your stuff in order. And so I do think in the Black community, that's one of the things that we have to continue to do is set a strong foundation. You
Yeah.
know, it's okay to work with everybody, but we want our kids, we want our community members, we want everybody to feel like the Black community, the Black family is just as strong as any other unit, right? You know,
Correct.
we
Correct.
want to get to the place where you need $1 million for the
Come on.
village. Don't even worry about it because I own the bank and I got
I
the
got
billion
you.
dollars.
I've
You
got
can
you.
get it, right? And
Man.
so it's not until you start to really envision yourself being in those roles that you really keep striving to get to that level. But if our kids never see Black people
Yes.
making it to that level, they don't have anything to strive to get to,
That's
right? They
Yes.
don't
Right.
think that it's only other races
all
and
the
other
people.
cultures
Mhm.
that have that level of success. And
Correct.
then with that, also, we have to slow down and make sure that we learn systems and processes. There's no shortcut to being great. It's really not.
Mhm.
It's
And
not.
so that's also one of the things that we have to make sure that we do. A hookup is good, right? A hookup is good, but a hookup doesn't teach you anything. It's just a shortcut. So
Correct.
I do think as we continue to stabilize the Black family, stabilize the Black community, we'll have more generational wealth
Correct.
within the Black family, within the Black community, and we'll continue to be able to work together a whole lot better.
Wow,
I truly
that is
believe that.
awesome.
That was phenomenal. I do, because I know that what we're building now, and my husband tells the boys all the time, what we're building now, this ain't for you, this is for your children. Because honestly, that's where our faith tells us. So what we're trying to do is build a foundation so you have options. All this is not to enjoy now. And like Granny said, you can't even what does he say? You can't even receive a blessing with your hand closed.
Mm.
So when you're not giving and pouring back into other people because you're afraid you're gonna miss something, you're gonna miss your own blessing with your
Yes.
hand closed,
Yes.
especially to your own people.
Yes. And I like what Micaiah Warren is saying. She said that we got to tell the whole story.
Come
Not
on.
just that we're not just the high point. We got to share the low points, y'all. Because sometimes when people mess up or fail, we're not truthful. We
Mm-mm.
have to let them know, hey, I messed up too. I
Mm-mm.
failed too. And
Mm-mm.
not just one time.
Mm-mm.
Y'all know we ain't failed just one time. But they got to see us doing that.
Correct.
You
They
have
got
to
to,
let your human show, right? That's
we
it.
have
You have
to.
to let your human show.
That
We,
part.
we have to, LaShawn. I think that's too some reason why this young generation don't really understand the church because we want to make it like we don't go through anything. Man, I would
Come on
slam
now.
that door. I would slam that door in a minute. I would slam that door. I let them know, God, I didn't do that right. But the
That's it.
families got to understand that's the way of beating ours.
It
We
is.
got to hear each other testimony.
Tell the
The
truth.
family got to hear. You got a good husband and wife now, and I'm not lying. I'm not lying at all. I promise y'all. I've been married 39 years, and my husband and I have not had one argument, not one, in 39 years. Look
Ooh,
at y'all looking at me, and I ain't lying either. This is God heaven truth. Gerald Matthew, Gerald Matthew, the bell rung on me. Gerald Matthew Mandrell does not argue, so we do not argue. We argue about nothing.
praise
I
God.
mean, nothing. He has no pressure. He is just. I mean, no matter what, it's okay. And if he don't like it, later on we talk about it. If I don't like it, later on we talk about it. But that's for me. Okay. I remember one time we were talking, and I was bragging about this one young man, Anita and LaShawn, because he was a virgin. He hadn't had sex, and he was 7 or something. He was so forth and so on. And one of the young guys came back to me and he said, I wasn't a pastor then, wasn't none of. He said, you're a good preacher. He said, but you make one mistake when you're preaching. And I said, what is it? He said, I don't want you to be offended. I'm not going to be offended. I want to be a better preacher. What is it?
Right.
He said, you always bragging about this certain person who never had sex. And he's 7, and since the age of 7, he got saved. He said, I'm 17. I have had sex. And I did get saved and I backslid. He said, so it's like you're not reaching me. I'm like,
Okay.
wow.
Mm.
Do y'all understand? So I was pointing out this good guy, which is okay.
Right.
But you also have to let them know there's these other people that have experienced this and now they're here.
Well, that's
Correct.
good. That's good because we often get caught up on perception, right?
That's right.
Perception is one of those dirty little words. It really is, because that's what we do. We often get caught up on what we see, and we tend to cater to what's good opposed to what's real. So in that situation, it's probably more people who have had sex who backslid than anybody else. But we tend to focus on what's good. And so when you put that in the context of the Black family, that's really why a lot of people go astray, right?
Mhm.
Because they make a mistake. And what do? You shaming the family. You this,
That's
you
it.
that. Opposed to saying, hey, this is real. Let me let this testimony minister help somebody else. But instead, we keep it, right? And
Mhm.
we you the black sheep of the family, you this, you that, opposed to, hey, this my cousin, this my brother, this is what they're dealing with. This is just real right now, because it helped people. And it's also really when people transform because they know they can make mistakes and it can still be okay, right?
All right.
I love working with people who've been in the streets. It's actually one of the things I love the most, because it's the transformation.
Right.
It's the hope that really don't define you. That was just a period in your life, but now we gonna get you to this next level. But when we only focus on one type of person, this look good, this is what everybody want to see, perception is this, perception is that, we lose a whole lot of people. It's one of the reasons why we're losing our kids right now.
Absolutely. This false sense of perfection. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. I'm sorry. There's not, when we wake up in the morning, all of this, it don't happen like this, honey. It take a few minutes. And and the idea that you have to remain perfect. Like, I can't slip up. I can't make one mistake, because if I make this one mistake, that's going to be what they define me by forever. No, that's just not reality. We have to give ourselves the opportunity to minister to everybody, to show that everybody's accepted. How do we love our children? Sometimes we want to pretend like everything is perfect. No, they ain't perfect. There's sometimes I go to my room, I want to leave my husband out there with them children. I tell y'all all the time, those are his kids. Now, I was the only child. He asked for them babies. So, and I get a whole attitude. It ain't always right. It's not a good look, but how do we love them, right? They make these mistakes. Don't we ask God to forgive us? Don't we ask God to love us through everything that we've been through? But then we don't want to forgive somebody else for what they've been through. Our society right now is built on the basis of false reality TV. Our children think that that's how it's supposed to be. The girl have to have her abs back 2 weeks after she have a baby. That's not reality.
That's not reality.
And so they have this false sense of perfection, whether it's bankruptcy, whether you've had financial problems, whether you've had to take a bus, whether you've driven a car that didn't have, everybody, I can't speak for everybody. For me in my house, I can say that we have not. We've had our trials and tribulations. So when do we show them that you've relied on your faith to make it? When do we show them that every day has not been perfect? We don't want to do that. We want everybody to think it's just cookie cutter, but it's not. It simply is not. And so because of that, I can see where our young people don't trust it, because they think anytime I make a mistake, oh, well, that's over. They're not going to love me. I tell people when they come through these doors every day, every single day, we're going to love these babies as a new day. Yeah, I know they showed all the way out yesterday. Yes, it did. They showed all the way out. But Miss Anita going to love on them today. And they know that they can smell it whether somebody's going to judge them on yesterday or whether they're going to love on them for today. Because the truth of the matter is, you don't know everybody's story. So that yesterday may have been just about the reason that baby could just barely hold on. You don't know what they go home to. You don't know what they're trying to survive. But sometimes you just got to be that love and that hug that they need the very next day. Now they know I'm gonna tell them about showing out now. Don't. I try to tell them, please don't show out. Please, baby, just let Miss Davis. But I do it with love, respect, and they know I'll go to war for them. But I just want what's best for them. But I'm gonna love them regardless because God loves me.
Yeah. No, when you think about the Black family, if you evaluate your family, your childhood, you always had that one matriarch in the family who was gonna hold you down, right? Always. Mm-hmm. It may have been Big Mama, it may have been your auntie, it may have been whatever. And that's what they say. It don't matter what they did. They still my grandchild. That's my nephew right there, right? And everybody knew it, right? I'll correct you at home, but in public, you know, I'm standing with you. My mama have a saying, and my mom is a trip, but my mom's saying is family over everything.
Come on.
FOE. And she signs every card that way. Mm-hmm. And my siblings, we laugh, and they always say, Mama is going to ride regardless. And that is her thing, family over everything. And when you think about that within the Black family, that's how it used to be, right? Family over everything. Correct. Family uplift family, family take care of family, family support family. That's so I think we have to get back to those core values. Absolutely. Because family matters. And when we start back putting family first, I think things will really, really go in the direction they need to go in.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I started the Family Affairs program, making home sweet home again. Amen. You know, that Family Affairs program, we got to make it work because the family is the strongest unit in the world.
Yes, it is.
It's stronger than everything. And if we strengthen our families, we keep our families going, and then it strengthens our communities. Mm-hmm. It strengthens the schools. It strengthens everything because the family know the people. And we talk about the children, but we got these parents who are suffering. We got these the parents who are not. And so the Family Affairs strengthen everybody, you know. Yes. So we get together and we work it because we strengthen that single mother. We strengthen that mother and that husband who's not good. We strengthen those. Mm-hmm. We have people who are almost divorced, but now they're making it. How do you talk to this husband and wife that they can make it when you all had the divorce paper in your hand? How do you, and now you're 10 years past that.
Come on.
How do you talk to that husband and wife that they can do it? How do you talk to that single mother with 6 children without putting her down? And you got 5 your own self. And you were single and y'all married, but how do you encourage that woman or that man and tell them they can make it?
Correct.
That's what we'll do. Mm-hmm. We're now the shoulders. We're building and helping them. Anita, right before I want you have a very strong son, Black young boy, young man. And you all faced the challenges and went against the all odds because he's autistic. But Austin is a very strong young man. Talk about Austin and what he produced out of you.
Oh my goodness. So everything that we've talked about here today, everything, honestly. Austin just turned 18 in January. My husband and I were blessed with this middle boy who is definitely spectacular. My mom said that God gave him to us so that we could see truth, because there is no sugarcoating with Austin. Whatever we talking about, he gonna just come straight with it. So that was her line of specialization. She was certified from the Florida A&M University as an education major back in the 70s, and she worked with children with exceptionalities. Austin was born, and by 18 months, she recognized that our child. And what did she do? grandma rallied in the troops. So I have an aunt who specializes in ESC services. I've got another aunt who's an occupational therapist. And so they galvanize. These are the great aunts now and the grandmama, right, around this child to help us. My husband and I didn't know. And so they facilitated, whether it was education, whether it was therapy, no matter what it was. And I'll be honest with you, was very protective of him in settings that they made sure that they read the paperwork. So when I tell people it was a family affair, it was truly a family affair. My husband and I could not have made it. We would not, I never sat at an IEP meeting or any therapy meetings until 2 days before my mother passed away. And I was sitting at this table and I had to sit at her feet all of those years to learn what I needed to say and what I needed to ask for, because I would never have known. And my husband, yeah, I did. I had to sit at her feet and listen and learn and find and ask questions. Like Lashawnda was talking about earlier, we have to ask questions. That wasn't my line of specialization. I did educate. No, business was my background. I didn't know. But because I sat at her feet and I listened and I learned and I asked, I knew who our resources were in the family to ask these questions. And so what happened with Austin is he's in these environments and we have to make sure that his best interests are the priority, not just what somebody offers. Because in most settings, people don't educate you. They just tell you what they want your child to have. And so that was, it's been an interesting journey. We'll say that. And it continues. And it continues.
Because of Austin, you started 2 businesses.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We, my mother passed away in 2017. And in her memory and for Austin, we established what's called Blautism Inc. Incorporated. And Blautism Education and Consulting. So we wanted to diversify the, let me say this, to provide diversity and representation, education, and advocacy for families with children on the autism spectrum, neurological, and other mental disorders. We established, my husband and I, that nonprofit because what we learned from our journey, that a lot of times in these settings, there were not familiar faces that understood the culture matters, that family plays an essential part in the development of a child through education. And when they don't see anyone familiar or who understands or tries to even empathize with the cultural dynamics that happen, because see, to me, people didn't understand that when my mother passed away, he had to be out of school for almost 2 months. Well, what's wrong with him? Well, in our family, let me tell you about what a grandmother is in our family, culturally. When grandmother passed away, I understood that my children love me. They love me dearly, but that was their heart. And that's the matriarch of the household. That's who she was. So a lot of those things are not recognized when you don't have people that look like you or understand your culture or even attempt to empathize in your culture. Yeah. And so that is why we developed it, because we are that advocacy group that goes in and says, okay, how can we educate so early intervention will happen, continuous treatment will happen. And oftentimes it's just being the mediator to understand why or even recognize these things. So yes, ma'am, he birthed something. That was one of those challenges where we just said, okay, the glass is half full. What we gonna do with this? We've learned this. It's our responsibility to go and share the message on what we've learned through this process. It's not easy, but we can do it because we don't quit.
We don't quit. And I absolutely love that. One of the things that's resilience about the Black family is we can take a half-filled glass and fill it up.
Kool-Aid. Make some Kool-Aid.
Sugar water.
Sugar water.
Sugar water. Yes, ma'am.
We will fill it up. Right before we end, this has been a fantastic show. you all can get in contact with both LaShawn and Anita, and they will give you some more. If you're a business owner, if you're a nonprofit business owner, I'm gonna tell you something. One of the most profitable decision that I've made was joining UPHS. That was one of the United Partner Service, um, human service.
Service, you got it.
I got it. I
You
got
got
it.
it.
It was one of the most profitable decisions of my business life that I made. So if you are a nonprofit, go talk to LaShawn. She would
Mhm.
talk with you. I promise you. And
I
she's very
second that.
talented. You would not have no 3 hour meeting with LaShawn
Yes, ma'am.
unless you're on her calendar for 3 hours and you're trying to put together your mission, vision, and all of that. But
That's
come
it.
ready. Anita could help you organize and get things in perspective and make and have you to think and put things in order. These are some powerful working women. So let me say this before I give it back to you all, because I want you, Anita and LaShawn, in about 2 minutes or three, to give some suggested ways. You've been saying it, we've been saying it all through the show, but just some pinpointed, maybe just a few suggested ways that our families can continue to beat the odds. But I must announce the winner. And the winner of the hour massage is Val Grissom. Val Grissom. She won it.
Congratulations.
And they say not only did she gave the whole thing. She knew all. So, Val, I want to thank you so very much for listening. I believe they have gotten your phone number. I will call you so we can get that to you. And we want to say congratulations and thank you for listening to the Real Talk with Judy show. Y'all never know what we're going to do. Never know what we're going to do. You never know. We may send you on a cruise in 2 years because you can't go this year. I'm not sending you this year. So Anita, then LaShawn, give us some tidbit. And right before they come with that, let me tell y'all this. My next week guest is Bishop J. Drew Sheard. Bishop J. Drew Sheard, Kiki Daddy,
All right.
Karen Clark Sheard Daddy.
All right.
Those are he's my guest next Tuesday. Bishop J. Drew Sheard from Detroit, Michigan. Anita.
Yes, ma'am. If I could give some tidbits on the Black family is, for me, I know one is my faith, but secondly is I draw back on the memories and the accomplishments of my ancestors. And I don't mean that in the way back. I mean, watching what my mom did, how she grew up in a small town. She picked tobacco. She, sewed her clothes. She went on to get a degree, and then we traveled the world from a girl from a small town. I look at the practical obstacles that our families and that our people in general have overcome. Hey, there's my daddy. He's on here. And I take that and I'm a daddy's girl. I take that and I make it plain in my life. And I want our people to also feel like they can count on each other again, right? That we still are a community, even though we don't live in that community maybe all together any longer, that we are a community. And then thirdly, definitely sit at the feet of some people.
Yes.
I know you don't always want to hear. I'm an avid, tell me. I'm willing to listen. I want to have an open heart and always be a student of whatever's going on. If I know it, I'll share it. But I also have to be that vessel that somebody can pour into me and say, okay, Anita, you need to do this, that, and that. Which I can say that Miss LaShawn, she will give you homework. She will give you homework on what you need to do. She will do that. And so you just have to be willing to say, I don't have to be an expert at everything. And just trust it. And know, listen, all you got to do is look back just a little bit and realize we some awesome people.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We're
Thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am.
So just 3 quick things. I think the first thing is just be open. You heard me say it, it's okay to allow your human to show. It's okay to be raggedy sometimes. That's the first thing. The second thing is, allow the gift of exposure to be there for you and your kids try new things, meet new people,
Yeah.
stretch yourself, right? It's when you get to that end where you feel like you can't go or this is something you can't do. Allow that gift of exposure, that curiosity to fuel you to go to the next level. And then the third thing is remember your history.
Yes.
Remember, we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And
Absolutely.
there was a grandma, if they're not here, a big mama, a big daddy, even a deacon at the church who was praying for you, sowing those seeds, rooting for you. And so let that fuel you. Let that burn in your belly. Let that drive you to make it to the next level because generations are coming behind us. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we have an obligation to keep the Black family together.
Absolutely.
LaShawn and Anita, thank you so very much. LaShawn, you will be with me all February. And I want
Looking
to say
forward to
thank
it.
Oh man, this is awesome. I want to say thank you so very much. Anita, your comment, your input today, you ladies have really inspired the audience, and we are thankful that we're able to have this opportunity to help build and strengthen our families. One of the things I want to say, families, pray together.
Amen.
Take time and pray together. I mean, really pray together. Hold each other hand or something. Have a family prayer. Talk and listen to each other, even if you disagree.
Yes.
Just talk and listen to each other. Respect each other. One of the things my mom did, my mom and dad, we had a voice in the family.
Amen.
We did. Not that it was always listened to, but we had it. At least they made I'm getting older and realizing, LaShawn, they didn't even pay attention to some of the things we said. But they made us feel like we were bragging. My mom and dad let us talk to them. But as I got older, I realized they didn't do half the thing we said. But anyway, be intentional and help each other in the family dream.
Amen.
Help
Amen.
them have imagination.
Yes.
Help them dream. My little grandson, that boy got every costume from Marvel you can have. Every costume. Those person in daycare because he become those people. He became the Black Panther. Became all the people. Sit down and plan with your family.
Absolutely.
Plan. Pray together.
Yes.
Pray together. As LaShawn and Anita said, seek mentor. Sit at somebody's feet. You know, put images before your family. Have a family board. You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
that's how you beat the odds. Invest.
That's
Pray together. Play together. Be stupid together. Just have crazy fun with each other so they know that in my house we're having fun.
amen.
Make eat together.
Yes.
And I want to say to every family member on here and to us as a Black community, we got to ride and die together.
Come on.
As a Black family, all of us are part of the same family, y'all. Just that my name is Mandrell, LaShawn is Gordon, and Val is Davis. But all of us are part of the Black family.
Amen.
We cannot afford to let our Black families fail.
Amen.
Cannot. We have to, LaShawn said, we got to get in the community.
That's
We got
it.
to meet people where they are. Can't be scared to go to the project. The projects are good. It's
Come
a
on.
stepping stone to better. Okay? It's a stepping stone. We got to do that. I love the Black family. I
Me
do. I
too.
think we're the most creative people. We're funny all the time. Man, you get you in a good eating crabs, you
What?
know. Go
Come on.
down there, go down there to Leola's where we don't sit outside there. And we'll go out there, get you them crabs, second. Oh my God. And the stories you will hear. The
Oh, yes.
stories you will hear.
Mhm.
Oh man, I absolutely love. So our time is far spent, but I want to thank you all again. Um, Anita, thank you, thank you,
Absolutely. I was
thank you.
honored.
Oh, you're a powerful woman. You
Thank
are, you're a powerful woman, and our
Yes,
community
ma'am.
needs voices like you. LaShawn, when we were putting this show together, you were the first person out of her mouth.
Oh, thank you.
That's no
Thank
joke.
you.
You were the first person out of LaShawn's mouth and said, "We got to get Anita." Our community, these 25,000 listeners, they got to hear her voice.
Thank
There
you.
you are. And
Thank you.
LaShawn, I want to thank you because you bring this community together.
She
You
does.
bring us together.
She does.
She bring everybody, black, white, rich, poor, everybody. everybody. And I want to thank you. She bring people to give you knowledge. She see where you want to go. She find those people. You need to meet Pastor Judy. Pastor Judy, you need to meet her or him. And she bring us together so we can learn from each other. And Lashawnda, I want to thank you for being that type of person in this community.
Yeah.
Because you have definitely helped me be better. And I want to say thank you so very much.
Absolutely.
So Lashawnda, we build into everyone on this Facebook page and on the radio. Thank you all. Thank you all for believing in the Real Talk with Judy show. And if you haven't shared it, go to your page and share this broadcast. I believe it's worth everybody that's hearing it. I believe it's worth input. And this is just the beginning. This is just the start. The Family Affairs program, we're partnered with the Life Center, Kevin Warren. Um, and tell us where we meet at, LaShawn. I forgot the address. You remember the address, LaShawn?
Yes,
To the
we
Life
meet
Center.
at 333 Pensacola Street. Yes, 333 West Pensacola Street.
Yeah.
If you go right, you're turning into TCC. If you go left, you are turning into the Village.
There you go.
And when I tell you so many partners there, so many things happening, you want to find out more about that, contact LaShawn. And then starting on February the 11th, we are starting our Family Affairs program at Governor's Charters Academy. Want to talk about that for a minute, Anita?
Yes, we are so excited that you are coming in to start this phenomenal program for our parents. It has been a very different season in education for our parents and our students. And what you are coming in to offer, Dr. Judy, is just absolutely phenomenal. Our parents will feel empowered. And one word that you use that I have continuously repeated to everyone, she's going to give them the idea of being invested in their children's education. And people take part in what they feel connected to. So we're looking forward to this program and you partnering with us. We are so excited. Our parents are getting excited and we are just ecstatic. And we want to thank you. Again, I cannot tell you how much we are just so grateful for you. It's called the J Squad after Dr. Judy. We're gonna have the J Squad. They're gonna come in and she's gonna get us all together because we all have something to learn in this process. So Governor's Charter is definitely excited about this partnership, and we cannot wait for our parents to sit up under your wisdom. So thank you again for your dedication to families, period, no matter where they are.
Yeah. And guess what, y'all? That's all in partnership with the Life Center. That's all in partnership with Life Changers, Dream Builders, we got so many other entities, and we're going to be good. Listen, so today has been absolutely fantastic. We are taking off. You can join me tonight at Life Changers Bible Study on Zoom. Evangelist Danette McBride. She's the teacher tonight. That girl is awesome. She's an awesome teacher. Sister Anita had her at Governor's Charters as well, and she is also the youth chairperson for the Tallahassee Youth Police Squad. I don't know exactly what they call, but the youth committee of the Tallahassee. She is the director of that, and so with the Tallahassee Police Department, that's awesome. Then you can join me Sunday at Life Changers as well. Well, it's time to go. What you gonna say, LaShawn? Let's
I will see you all next week. Be safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Let go.
Take care, ladies. See you next time. Bye.
I love you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.